I fall in love at least once every night. Another volume just keeps catching my eye. I can't keep picking one off every shelf. I made a promise, it's one in and one out. That's why I stopped right where I stood when I saw you. That's why I stopped right where I stood when I saw you. I'm breaking myself trying to get you in bed. A million thoughts are racing around my head. You know I want you, but I'm gripped by this doubt. Born on this promise, it's one in and one out. That's why I stopped right where I stood when I saw you. That's why I stopped right where I stood when I saw you. There was a lot I could have done, but nothing good. That's why I stopped right where I stood when I saw you. Right where I stood when I saw you. That's why I stopped right where I stood when I saw you. There was a lot I could have done, but nothing good. That's why I stopped right where I stood when I saw you.
This is Excess Manchester, the evening show. Delighted to have We Are Scientists in the studio with me. Hello, boys.
Hello.
Hey.
The delight is ours.
Welcome to Manchester.
Thanks very much.
I mean, it's not the first time. Obviously, you've been here plenty of times before, right?
265
Really,
times
that's a lot.
by our, vague estimation.
Do you have a tattoo somewhere, and every time you visit another time, you have a little mark on it?
Yeah, it's going all down my leg.
I just need to fill everyone in that's listening that we have a TV in the studio that shows random TV programs at all times of day, and you guys are getting quite into the kind of western-y thing that's on behind us.
It's called Legends of the Fall.
It's a wonderful Brad Pitt, Anthony Hopkins, Aidan Quinn film.
Okay.
We actually had a podcast about it for a minute.
Well, it was film. It was
It was a video.
It was a video cast called Legends Talk Legends.
Right.
And in it, Keith and I are the first legends referred to in the title, and we just talk about the movie Legends of the Fall in every episode.
Yeah.
And we would sort of deliberately get sidetracked and talk about other things as well. But
Okay. I've no idea whether you're joking or
This
not.
is real. This is real.
That is
a real
real,
thing.
and I believe you can see it on our YouTube page.
Wow.
I think there's 3 episodes. Maybe.
Yeah, we kind of lost steam on it pretty quickly.
Is that one of those things where the title comes first? And you go,
Oh, yeah.
Great title.
Yes.
What can it be?
Definitely.
Exactly.
Excellent. Well, let's talk about the album, because that's got a decent title. Megaplex is a cool word, if nothing else.
yeah,
Is that a We Are Scientists copyright word, trademark, you guys?
We did try to copyright it, but unfortunately, it's been in general use in the language
It's a thing.
for many decades.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well-
But yeah, we did. I think we mainly named it because we just thought it was a cool sounding word.
Yeah, it's
It is
fun to say.
It is
Yeah.
cool. One of the things I like about it, and I was looking at your website before, is the way you talk about the album on your website. It's the first thing you see pretty much, and there's a sentence on there and it says Megaplex is out today, because the album's out today. Have a wonderful life whilst listening to it, so that someday, when one of the songs comes on, you'll be overwhelmed by a tender, elated nostalgia for the greatest of years, 2018.
Yep.
And it's a bit silly and it's a bit whimsical, but I really like it for two reasons. Firstly, because that is exactly what music does to people who are listening to it.
Yeah.
It instantly conjures up experiences and moments from where they were when they heard stuff for the first time. And it never occurred to me before that musicians that are making that music are considering that, how their audience will consume it, and it could become like the soundtrack to a moment in someone's life. Is that something that you do think about genuinely?
We definitely are presented by fans constantly with stories of, you know, like our first album, which came out 13 years ago now.
with Love and Squalor.
Like, you know, events in their youth
Yeah.
that were passed to our music.
Yeah.
So.
It's and it's a pretty, you know, kind of, on the one hand it makes you feel old or whatever, and that's the downside of it, but but it's an honor, you know, as well. Last night I had this very affecting conversation with some folks who came to the show. This was in Leeds, and they came to the merch booth, and I was hanging out there, and they told me about having lost a friend. One of them in particular had, it was his best friend, and he died in Afghanistan 5 years ago.
Wow.
And they had been, as he described it to me, like me and Keith. He was like, we were like the Chris and Keith in our friend group, which I thought was, you know, that kind of put a lump in my throat. Yeah. And then he told me that his friend had died 5 years ago, and that they had been so bonded over our first record with Love and Squalor that after the funeral, they had a lock-in at the gas station where he worked and just blasted with Love and Squalor all night. And sorry, I'm actually a little choked up.
Yeah.
And they were all just screaming along to with Love and Squalor all night. And I was thinking about that, and just they were all elated to tell me this story, but it was such a sad story.
Don't take this question the wrong way, because it's not a loaded question in any way.
Yeah.
But how does that make you feel about your music when you're told that kind of story? Do you feel suddenly this is significant, this is having an impact, or does it make you feel, wow, I make music for a living, this guy's off in Afghanistan doing whatever he wants? What kind of, or is it a bit of a combination of both?
I think it's pretty positive generally. Whatever it is, I think it's, you know, it's great to know that your music is substantial enough in whatever way it needs to be that people could, you know, place that kind of emotional importance on it, or just, I think it, you know, it's really just a coat hanger for whatever they're bringing to it. But I think your music has to be decent enough to sort of withstand that kind of emotional resonance. Presumably a lesser album would not have become so important to them, and they wouldn't have been able to use it in that sort of cathartic way.
However you get in, that's how you leave again. But once you're in my head, I wanna keep you there, and that's why I lie awake every night while I wait for your light to change. It seems so distant I can't see the end, all the while my head is spinning like a ceiling fan while I wait for your light to change. I might think this is it, somehow we're on the brink. Just when I'm gonna quit, that's when the shit begins. And that's why I lie awake every night while I wait for your light to change. It seems so distant I can't see the end, all the while my head is spinning like a ceiling fan while I wait for your light to change. However you get in, you're always creeping in. And once you're in my head, I wanna keep you there. And that's why I lie awake every night while I wait for your light to change. It seems so distant I can't see the end, although while my head is spinning like a ceiling fan, while I wait for your light